Today we're taking a look at how the RTX 4070 Super performs in Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws represents a decently high gaming load on most gaming PCs, so I'm curious to see how the 4070 Super will do. The 4070 Super that I'll be using today is the Asus Dual OC model. The test system will consist of a Ryzen 9700X that's overclocked with PBO enabled, paired with 32GB of G.Skill DDR5 6000 CL30 memory. The system will be running on an ASRock X670E PG Lightning motherboard. As for the actual benchmarking, I'll be testing and running through a denser area on Tashara. Each set of results is an average of 3 benchmark runs. I'll be testing the game at 1080p, 1440p, and 2160p or 4K. As for the quality presets, I'll be using medium, high, and ultra. I will be sprinkling in some DLSS quality where it makes sense though, but I won't actually be testing any frame generation anywhere. Generally speaking, I don't really use that feature. Anyways, let's get into the testing. We'll start off the testing with 1080p medium. The RTX 4070 Super handled this with ease, averaging about 106.4 FPS, while the lows were about 75.4 FPS on average. Great performance, even though it's 1080p. Upgrading the quality preset to the high quality preset, the system averaged 94.5 FPS, with the 1% lows averaging 67.83 FPS. Solid performance in my opinion again, so let's take a look at the Ultra preset. The Ultra preset resulted in an overall average of 75.77 FPS, and the 1% lows averaged 63.1 FPS. Again, a relatively good experience. In my opinion, you probably don't need DLSS quality here, but if you do want to get kind of a high refresh rate at 1080p, you definitely can flip on DLSS quality. I reran the 1080p Ultra benchmark with DLSS quality applied and found the system's average performance to be about 95.73 FPS, with the lows averaging 68.8 FPS. And that'll make for a good higher refresh rate gaming experience. Overall, I would say the 1080p performance was very solid, but if you have an RTX 4070 Super, you probably are more interested in the 1440p and 4K results. Moving on to the 1440p testing, we'll start out with the medium preset again. With the medium preset applied, the system averaged 80.63 FPS, with the lows averaging 62.7 FPS. I definitely thought this was some solid performance, but we do have some room for the high preset as well. Looking at switching over to the 1440p high preset, the system averaged about 70.43 FPS across all of the runs, with the lows still averaging over 60 FPS at about 61.57 FPS. Very nice in my opinion. Moving on to the 1440p Ultra testing, the system averaged 55.6 FPS, with the lows averaging about 47.13 FPS. Ultra quality at native res is definitely playable, but you're obviously looking at a sub 60 FPS experience. Kinda up to you at that point if you want to play like that, but you do have the option of enabling DLSS quality. When I flipped over to DLSS quality, I saw that the performance on average was about 78.6 FPS, and the lows were uplifted to about 61.8 FPS. Just by flipping on DLSS quality, now we're above 60 FPS, even for the 1% lows, which is excellent in my opinion. The actual gameplay and re-reviewing the footage, I definitely think DLSS quality at 1440p Ultra is a solid experience, and that's probably the resolution and quality combo that I would actually play the game at, when considering 1440p. For the last round of testing, we have 2160p or 4K testing. Again, we're starting off with the medium quality preset. The system averaged about 45.4 FPS, with the lows at about 40.4 FPS. I guess you could play the game at this performance level, but in my opinion, this is not really very ideal. I wouldn't want to play at 45 FPS on average. So in my opinion, if you're looking to play 4K medium, you definitely need DLSS quality, which should bump you up to about 60 FPS on average, but the 1% lows are definitely going to be sub 60 FPS. Next up, I did want to take a look at the high quality preset, but as expected, after I ran through the medium quality preset, the average was a little disappointing. The average performance for the system was 38.53 FPS, with the lows being 34.17 FPS. Again, DLSS is basically required here if you're looking to play 4K high, but even then, the experience might not be excellent. As for the Ultra preset, there's really no point in running this. The RTX 4070 Super, when paired with the 9700X, even overclocked, basically can't handle 4K Ultra in Star Wars Outlaws. So I did run 4K Ultra, but I ran it with DLSS quality enabled. In that testing, the system managed to average 46.2 FPS, with the lows around 40.5 FPS. Definitely an okay result, but again, I don't really like playing at that level of performance. As a last-ditch effort though, I did want to try overclocking. I applied what I thought was a reasonable core and memory overclock to the 4070 Super, and then reran the testing with Ultra quality and DLSS quality upscaling enabled. The system managed to output 47.9 FPS on average across the testing runs, with the lows being bumped up to about 41.6 FPS. So on average, the frame rate was uplifted by about 3.6%, and the 1% lows were uplifted by about 2.8%. That's definitely not nothing, but it wasn't a huge boost in performance. The overclock that I applied was kind of a mid-range overclock. There's definitely some more headroom left in my RTX 4070 Super, but I know that all the cards are different, so I didn't want to try to really max out my card and then kind of claim that everybody could get that performance. I do think you probably could eke out maybe 1 or 2% more, but you're still looking at a barely playable frame rate in my opinion. If you really want to play Star Wars Outlaws at 4K on the RTX 4070 Super, I personally would probably stick to 4K medium with DLSS quality enabled if you don't want to overclock. If you're okay with overclocking and really pushing your 4070 Super to the limit, I would probably think that you could get by with 4K high quality and DLSS quality enabled. That plus the overclock should get you right around 60 FPS on average. The RTX 4070 Super is definitely still a very capable card even in 2025. This GPU has 7,168 CUDA cores and 12 GB of GDDR6 21 GB per second memory. Subjectively, it's still a good value in my opinion because the current GPU market at the time of releasing this benchmark video is not great. The RTX 5000 series GPUs have been a pretty rough launch for NVIDIA, and the AMD 9070 and 9070 XT are basically out of stock at any reasonable price. So I would say, after going through all of the testing for Outlaws with my RTX 4070 Super, in my opinion, I would play this game at 1440p with the Ultra quality preset and DLSS quality enabled on top of that. In addition to that, I personally would apply at least my lightweight overclock, if not my maximum overclock, because I think that's going to give the best quality picture at a good resolution while allowing for 80, maybe 85 FPS on average. If you want to see more dedicated game benchmarking videos, especially for the RTX 4070 Super or other GPUs, definitely check out all of the other content on the channel. I've kind of been on a tear lately for the RTX 4070 Super, releasing quite a few benchmarking videos. If you want to take a look at the RTX 4070 Super that I used in this build, or any of the parts in this system, I'll have some affiliate links that you can check out in the description below, so head down there and take a look. If you got any value out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, as that tells YouTube to share this video with people who are researching the RTX 4070 Super in Star Wars Outlaws. Gaming PC and component testing videos, as well as benchmarking videos like this one, are basically what I create around here. If you're into that kind of content, make sure to get subscribed to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. Until next time, keep on gaming.